From the St. Louis Cardinals to my left, Bill White. From the New York Yankees to my right, Phil Rizzuto. All of us Yankees, everybody's a Yankee on Old Timers Day at Yankee Stadium. And I've got to say this, on behalf of all three of us, it's a pleasure to be here again. Phil Rizzuto, all dressed, ready for the game. A hit today?
I don't know, Frank. I'm going to bunt. I know I can't swing and hit it over the infield, so if I can leg it out without pulling a muscle, I'll be all right.
Bill White, when he bunts, you're going to...
I'm not going to do anything. I'm going to be up there talking about him and getting on him for bunting.
Hey, you guys both look good in uniform, and I'm going to slip out here on the field and turn it over to Bill White and Phil Rizzuto. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome again.
I'll take your piece, Frank. Phil, you know, I know it's a great thing for you to get to see guys you played with. I know Joe is here, Mickey Mantle is here. We saw Roger Maris, and not only did you play with him, but you talked about him.
Yep, and it's great to see fellas like Bill Dickey, Johnny Mize, George Twinkle Toes Selkirk that are all here. And, you know, to me, it's a big thrill because I played with a lot of these guys, and to see them looking so well and anxious to come back just to get in that Yankee uniform again.
And some of the guys you played against are here also.
You know, I don't even know who's on the opponents except
you.
I
saw Bobby Thompson. He's the first guy I ran into as I came in, and Bobby looks good. He brought his son with him. And Gene Freese from down in New Orleans, who used to play with the Pittsburgh Pirates and a couple other ball clubs. He is here. And they're over on the other side. I see Monty Irvin, who is a Hall of Famer, and with the commissioner's staff. Monty's here. They have Tommy Davis has gotten a little bit bigger. You know, it's going to be great, I think, for some of the... No, it is going to be great because some of the guys obviously have put on a little weight, but it's always great to... You can still see just the traces of the greatness. Remember Bill Dickey getting a base hit a couple of years ago here?
Unbelievable. You know, Bill White, he was the most graceful catcher that I ever saw. And the 2 years that I played with Bill in 41, 42... I mean, for a big man to be that good a catcher, I think is difficult. You get guys built like Roy Campanella and Yogi Berra, they're close to the ground, and you could see why they could move quickly and do things quick. But Dickey was so graceful, he'd have to get down on one knee to get that low target. But when he came up to throw, he'd give you the ball like a feather. Not like Yogi used to throw sliders and sinkers. He had those little fingers, and all they're good for is counting money, and he has a lot of problem doing that.
You know, I saw you inside also talking to your son's former college coach, Bobby Richardson's in there.
Now, there's a great guy, Bobby Richardson. I'd say he would be an ideal man for everybody to say, I'd like my son to grow up like Bobby Richardson, because a great ball player, and he was a great coach. And he kind of took my son Scooter under his wing. Now he's moved to Asheville, North Carolina. But I'm going to go down and visit him because he is a great... And what a second baseman. And it was a shame that Richardson, Kubek, and McDougal all had to retire. They were just about in the prime of their career.
We saw Phil Lynch here, one of the guys who took over for at least at shortstop, and Phil could play a lot of other positions. He's here.
He could, and he could also play the harmonica, which got him in trouble.
You know, this is always a great game, I think, basically for the fans, and it's great to see so many people continue to turn out for it. I think a lot of old-timers games, as you keep going, you keep seeing the same guys, I think the attendance sort of backs off, but this one, everybody keeps coming up.
Yeah, this is a great one. The Yankees were one of the first to start Old Timers Day, and they do it in a big way, and they really bring back some ball players. And speaking about bringing back some ball players, one of the greatest of all time, Mickey Mantle.
Why don't you talk to him?
Love seeing him.
No, Mick, you know, you look like you could go out there. Why didn't you stick around and be the designated hitter for a few years?
Well, when I quit, I couldn't hit, Phil's the main thing. It wasn't because I couldn't run or anything. My legs were really bad, but I couldn't hit left-handed at all. And if I happened to get on, I couldn't run from first to third on a single, or I couldn't score from second on a single. I felt like it was time for me to quit.
Well, nobody wanted you to quit, Mick. You've had such a great career with the New York Yankees. And right now we got to go to Frank Messer on the field, Mick. We'll see you later.
All right.
And had to be replaced. He spent 7 more years with the Yankees, but never played in a World Series. And now he's baseball coach at Ole Miss. Let's welcome a young old-timer, catcher Jake Gibbs. Our next guest was a tough foe of the Yankees, especially when he came out of the bullpen. He pitched for the Twins, the Indians, the Red Sox. He's had a successful career as pitching coach and is here today in that capacity with the Oakland A's. A nice hand for Lee Stang. Any ball club is fortunate to have a super sub, and the Yankees had one of the best in our next guest. He played infield and outfield for 4 years as a Yankee. He appeared in 2 World Series. Many know he also played the harmonica. He has now turned restaurateur. Welcome, Phil Linz. A neighbor from New Jersey, currently the baseball coach at Fairleigh Dickinson University. A Yankee opponent in 1962 in the wet World Series with the San Francisco Giants. He also played with the Orioles and Washington. A big welcome for rookie old-timer John Orsino. Our next guest came to the Yankees from Kansas City early in 1959. He was a valued member of the club through the '66 season. He appeared in 5 World Series, and in the final game of the '61 series, drove in 5 runs and also hit a homer. He was a popular figure around Yankee Stadium. We're happy to welcome back Hector Lopez. And now a fellow who was born to be a designated hitter, except he was born a little too soon. In lieu of that, he was a devastating pinch hitter in 1961. He won back-to-back games at Fenway Park with pinch hit home runs, and then tied up the 3rd game of the series with a pinch homer, and was one of 6 Yankees with more than 20 home runs that record-breaking season. One of the key figures of the early '60s, here's Johnny Blanchard. Our next guest once hit home runs for 8 consecutive games, and no one ever did it longer. He was a Pirate then, but in the bottom of the 9th inning of the last game of the '60 season, he had a home run to allow the Yanks to finish with a 15-game winning streak. He was also the only modern left-handed catcher for one day. It's nice to have him back. Dale Long. Dale unfortunately pulled a muscle in his leg, but he was gracious enough to come out for the introduction. Thank you, Dale. Our next guest was twice a Yankee World Series foe. He helped beat the Yankees in 1957 and then saw the Pinstripes come from a 3-1 deficit to win the next year. A fancy fielding first baseman, a tough out at the plate, now in the bat business with Rawlings. A big hand for Joe Torre's big brother, Frank Torre. Our next guest followed the footsteps of his dad when he decided to be a ball player. Starting out as a shortstop, he moved into the outfield with great success. He was Rookie of the Year in 1962 and one of the stars of the World Series that year. It's great to have this switch-hitting outfielder back again. Welcome, Tommy Tresh. Here's a pitcher who served 2 terms as a Yankee, the workhorse of the pitching staffs of the early 1960s. He led the league in victories with 23 in 1962 and climaxed his greatest season with a 1-0 shutout of the Giants in the 7th game of the World Series. A golfing star, a successful businessman, and a great guy. Let's greet Ralph Terry. Noted chiefly for his fielding, our next guest swung a big bat in the 1960 and '64 World Series. He set the RBI mark for a 7-game series in 1960 when he drove in 12. In 1964, he set the record for most hits in 7 games with 13. For 3 years in a row, he led the league in times at bat. It's always a pleasure to greet Bobby Richardson. Ladies and gentlemen, in 1964, the St. Louis Cardinals beat the Yankees in a tough series. But our next guest doesn't remember it as his personal finest hour. He had a career mark of 286 for 13 years in the major leagues. He had 202 home runs for the Giants, Cards, and Phillies, one of those coming in his first major league at bat. A former enemy, but now a great friend, my broadcast partner, a great first baseman, Bill White. And now another member of the $1 million infield that carried the Yankees to 4 pennants in the 1960s. He had as good a glove as any third baseman in history, and in 1961 did to the Reds what Greg Nettles did to the Dodgers last year. Now an infield coach for the Braves, let's welcome Smiling Clete Boyer. Our next guest always looked like a bank executive, I think, but he got the 60s off to a roaring start with one of the greatest years a relief pitcher ever had. In 1961, 65 games, a club record, 15 wins, 5 losses, a record 29 saves, Fireman of the Year. He ran as an entry with Whitey Ford, and now a Yankee scout in Puerto Rico. Let's shout a big ole to Luis Arroyo. This next man was a Yankee briefly in 1966. He returns today as an opponent from the 1960 series when he was one of the mainstays of the Pirate pitching staff. He started twice in that series without a victory, but was on the winning team after an unusual series. It's nice to welcome back to Yankee Stadium, Bob Friend. In 1965, when the Minnesota Twins battled the Dodgers in a 7-game series, this next guy was the pitching star. He posted a 21-7 seasonal record and won 2 more in the series. He was also a fine relief pitcher later in his career and is now a broadcaster for the Oakland A's. A big hand for Jim Mudcat Grant. Our next guest was in the 1961 World Series with the San Francisco Giants. He also played with the Cubs, the Orioles, the Pirates, before finishing his career with 3 years in Japan. He managed the Chicago Cubs for 3 years, and today he is here as the manager of the Oakland A's. A warm welcome to Jim Marshall. Our next guest was the first Yankee to win the Cy Young Award. That happened in 1958. The same year, he was chiefly responsible for the great comeback against the Braves when the Yankees erased a 3-1 deficit to win the series. This fireballer won the 5th game to keep it alive. He saved the 6th to tie it and won the clincher with 6 2/3 innings of 2-hit relief. A big hand for Bullet Bob Turley. Coming to the Yankees in the mid-50s, our next guest played in 7 World Series for the Yankees and then showed up in 1963 as an opponent with the Dodgers. He was a big, rugged guy, but his absence due to an injury in 1957 hurt the Yankees' chance to beat the Braves. always a welcome visitor. Let's hear it for Bill Moose Skowron. At Ebbets Field, our next guest was always a big, friendly favorite. He spent 6 years with the Dodgers and helped get them into 2 World Series against the Yankees. In 1949, he hit .299 and then hit .308 against the Yanks in the series. A tough left-handed hitter and always a welcome guest here at the stadium. Ladies and gentlemen, Gene Hermansky. In a dozen years as a Yankee, this next fellow played in 9 World Series and set a record by hitting in 17 straight series games. He's in the top 10 in 8 all-time series categories and always a popular addition to Old Timers Day. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome Hank Bauer. You know, it's not often we can greet an old-timer as Mr. Mayor, but today we can. This left-handed pitcher is one of the few to serve 2 terms in Yankee Stadium. Traded in the middle of the night at the 1951 trading deadline, he came back 3 years later and stayed 4 more years. One of baseball's better golfers and now part owner of his own course, the mayor of Wake Forest, North Carolina, Tommy Byrne. Our next guest was an outfielder with the 1963 Dodgers who beat the Yankees for the world title. He also played with the Pirates, the Cubs, the Phillies, and was always highly rated as a utility man. He was taken by the Mets in the original draft, but was traded before playing in New York. Right now, let's welcome to the Big Apple with a chance to play here, coach of the Oakland A's, Lee Walls. In this fellow's 10-year Yankee career, he was in 7 World Series, including the 5-in-a-row stretch. A fancy fielding first baseman who could also play the outfield, hit the long ball, a real tough out, and the only man I ever saw lose a hotel room. Let's welcome back Joe Collins. Our next guest, ladies and gentlemen, was an American League opponent before he became a Yankee. He stole 31 bases with Kansas City in 1961 in winning Rookie of the Year honors. He moved to Cleveland, then to Yankee Stadium, eventually replacing Frank Crosetti as third base coach. He is now the baseball coach at Florida State University. Welcome back, Dick Hauser. Here's a Connecticut Yankee who was happy to become a New York Yankee back in 1947 when he was a prime factor in winning the pennant. He then won 2 games in what is always regarded as one of the most exciting World Series in history. Now superintendent of recreation in his hometown, the Naugatuck Nugget, Frank Speck Shea. Our next guest played for Cincinnati against the Yankee powerhouse of 1961. Another of baseball's most versatile players, he played the infield and outfield for the Pirates, the White Sox, the Cubs, and the Astros, in addition to the Reds. A nice welcome for Gene Freese. One of the best deals the Yankees ever made, brought this left-hander to New York in 1948. he became one of Casey Stengel's pitching stalwarts through the glory years of the early 50s. In 1953, he led the league in earned run average. He is now a scout for the Montreal Expos. Welcome back to Yankee Stadium, Steady Eddie Lopat. Our next guest was the center fielder on the 1939 Cincinnati club that was swept by the Yankees. He played 6 years with the Reds. He has spent most of his life in baseball as player, coach, manager, and scout. He was the first manager of the Houston club and also led Kansas City. Now, a major league scout for the Yankees. A big hello to Harry Kraft. Our next guest was one of Stengel's gang who didn't believe in switching positions. He stuck pretty close to third base in an 8-year Yankee career. They tell me he was as good with a knife and fork as he was with a bat and glove. All the way from California for his first visit in a long time, let's say hello to Andy Carey. And now a Milwaukee Brave of back-to-back pennant days. Our next guest was considered the glue that held the infield together for Fred Haney's crew in those days. He was with the Braves 11 years before finishing his career with the Pirates. Greetings to a tough foe and good friend, Johnny Logan. You know, if there's such a thing as a picture hitter, our next guest would be the perfect model. Following an outstanding career with the Cardinals and Giants, he joined the Yankees and played on the 5 consecutive world champions and had a big hand in the victories. He is number 8 in lifetime slugging percentage at .562, one of the all-time greats, the big cat, Johnny Mize. Our next guest could well be the only player in baseball history who might be tired of hearing of one of his home runs. He had a fine 15-year major league career. He had 263 other homers and helped win many other games. But he'll always be known for the shot heard round the world. A New Jersey neighbor, Bobby Thompson. This perennial guest was a standout outfielder, a fine first baseman, a clutch hitter, a good golfer, and now one of the best yarn spinners in the business. Coming straight from the Prescott Country Club in Arizona, old reliable Tommy Henrich. Our next guest performed the unusual feat of putting 6 20-game seasons back-to-back as one of the original Philadelphia Whiz Kids. He faced the Yankees in the 50 series, losing 2-1 to Allie Reynolds. Joe DiMaggio with a 10th-inning home run to win it. And now coaching the University of South Florida, one of the great pitchers of all time, Robin Roberts. Ladies and gentlemen, our next 4 guests are really nice people, although the fans do get mad at them once in a while. Without them, there would be no game, as we found out. It's a pleasure to welcome back these men in blue you've seen work at Yankee Stadium many times. Our umpires today, in a group, Mr. Tom Gorman, Mr. John Stevens, Mr. Jim Honachik, and a new old-timer, Mr. Nestor Shylock. Ladies and gentlemen, 9 Yankees have won home run titles. 7 have won RBI crowns. Our next guest is listed in both categories, but really doesn't get the recognition he deserves. After too long an absence, it's great to be able to once again greet Nick Etten. Our next guest is a switch hitter. Sometimes he's here as a Yankee, other times as an opponent. Today, he is here as the man who made life tough for the 1942 Yankees when he was a St. Louis Cardinal. Who could ever forget his unbelievable dash from first base to home plate on a single to give the Cardinals the 1946 World title against the Red Sox? The original Charlie Hustle, Enos Slaughter. This left-handed pitcher had his career interrupted by a war, but he had a half a dozen good years as a Yankee. In 1941 and again in 43, he turned in spectacular 2-1 victories over the Dodgers and Cards in World Series play in key situations. A native of Brooklyn who crossed the river to gain fame, here is Marius Rousseau. Our next guest started out as a Yankee, but found his fame in the National League, where he was the most valuable player in 1945 as a Boston Brave. He was in the news last year when Pete Rose broke his National League consecutive game hitting streak record of 37. Let's greet one of New York's native sons, Tommy Holmes. It's always a pleasure to welcome our next guest back for Old Timers Day. A World Series foe with the Giants in 1936 and 37. His only victory in 3 decisions was a memorable 10-inning triumph in 1936. A big hello to an old New York favorite, Hal Schumacher. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we meet the man who caught the last game Babe Ruth ever pitched. That was in 1933, and the Yankees won the ball game. He was a valuable catcher on the champions of 1936 and 37. After spending 6 years as a Yankee, he finished with the Browns and Red Sox. But he's always been a Yankee at heart. Joe the Gabber Glenn. Joe Glenn, ladies and gentlemen. Our next guest belongs in a category one of a kind. He is the only man in baseball history to perform a great feat. It happened in 1938. A member of the 1939 Cincinnati Reds. He didn't face the Yankees in that series. A native of New Jersey. He spent 13 years in the majors, 11 of them with the Reds. The only man ever to pitch back-to-back no-hitters, Johnny Vandermeer. And now one of the greatest right-hand hitters in the annals of Major League Baseball. He was one of the top performers on the Miracle Giants of 1951. But a spring training injury the following year kept him out most of the season. A member of baseball's Hall of Fame, and now in the commissioner's office and still doing a great job for baseball, Mr. Monty Irvin. If you go in for baseball trivia questions, you'll know our next guest. In fact, you'll know our next guest without that. He had a most productive year, 9-year career as a Yankee. He played on 6 pennant winners before the war interrupted his career. Upon his return, he was a manager, scout, and general manager, one of the champs of the 30s, the man who replaced Babe Ruth. Welcome, George Selkirk. And now a man who was always tough on the mound, but a great guy every other place. He pitched a no-hitter in 1956 for the Dodgers against the Phillies, but in the World Series that year, he was the victim of Don Larson's perfect game. A warm welcome to Sal the Barber Magley. Ladies and gentlemen, if I were to say our next guest was the greatest catcher of all time, I don't think I would get too many arguments. He spent 17 years as a Yankee and caught more than 100 games for 13 straight years. A lifetime .313 hitter, 202 home runs, elected to the Hall of Fame in 1954, and his number 8 is one of 7 numbers retired by the Yankees. Ladies and gentlemen, from Arkansas, Mr. Bill Dickey. And now, ladies and gentlemen, one of the real pleasures of Old Timers Day is being able to salute our next guest. I ask you, if you will, to turn your attention to the loge back of home plate and give a big hello to the First Lady of the Yankees, Mrs. Lou Gehrig. Mrs. Gehrig. Always one of the most popular of Yankees, this old-timer sticks around all the time. Most of the time. He was the heart of the Yankee infield from 1941 to 1956 and was voted the all-time Yankee shortstop by broadcast partner, the Scooter, Phil Rizzuto. Was practically a hitting machine up to the day he retired. He won back-to-back batting titles with the Dodgers, but a severe ankle injury in 1965 handicapped the rest of his career. The designator hitter rule extended his career several years, and he was one of the best DHs in the business. Now a record executive in California, let's have a big welcome for Brooklyn native Tommy Davis. Representing the first group of Yankee champions back in the 20s, our next guest joined the Yankees in 1915. He pitched for the first 3 pennant winners. He won the first game ever played in Yankee Stadium, and then threw out the first ball as new Yankee Stadium opened. 88 years young and happy to be here, representing all his old teammates, Mr. Bob Shalke. Ladies and gentlemen, while saluting the many Yankee champions, let us not forget those who went before. The men who were Yankees before they were champions. Representing that group is a regular visitor to Yankee Stadium from his home in New Jersey, the oldest living ex-Yankee at the age of 92, Mr. Jack Martin. Very popular left-hander. #1 lifetime for winning percentage for pitchers with more than 200 victories. In 1950, he came up late in the year, won 9 in a row, gave the Yanks the edge in a tight pennant race, and then won a series game. He won 9 more series games, most by any hurler, a native New Yorker, but popular everywhere, the chairman of the board, Whitey Ford. Some say that our next guest did not look like a ball player, but he made it to the Hall of Fame 3 times, most valuable player. He holds a handful of World Series records, more series games than any other player. After retiring, he was a coach and manager, the most recognizable celebrity in the country, now a Yankee coach, Yogi Berra. Fate decreed that our next guest's career should be entwined forever with the Yankees. You might say he was born to be a Yankee. He first became one in 1950, spent 5 years in Pinstripes. He left. 2 decades later, he reappeared. After a couple of tumultuous years, he left again. He's back again. #1, Yankee manager Billy Martin. Although our next guest will be remembered more for his hitting, he was really one of the all-time great right fielders in Yankee history. He could run the bases. The man who always did it my way. The man who set a record of 61 home runs in one season, Roger Maris. What else can I say other than the great #7, Mickey Mantle? And no introduction is necessary for our next guest, the greatest living baseball player, the Yankee Clipper, Joe DiMaggio. Ladies and gentlemen, before we continue with our program, I would like to ask you to please rise. And now, ladies and gentlemen, would you offer a moment of silence for the many baseball figures who have passed away since our last Old Timers Day. On our list today, Mike Gazella of the 27 Yankees, Benny Borgman, Lyman Bostock, Buzz Boyle, Larry Chason, Nick Cullop, Jim Gilliam, Jesse Haynes, Babe Hamburger, the Reverend George Jeffcoat, Marty McHale, Clyde Klutz, Art Williams, George Washburn, Fred Fleig, Hinkie Haynes, George McQuinn, Willard Mullen, Paul O'Day, Gary Schumacher, Dick Siebert, Cliff Bolton, Fred Martin, Rube Wahlberg, Bill Liston, Don Lee, Ray Blades, Bill Lucas, Jim Mooney, Joe King, Frank Kelleher, Luke Easter, Dale Alexander, and Warren Giles. And now, ladies and gentlemen, please remain standing as our national anthem is sung by the greatest, Mr. Robert Merrill. And will always be the voice of the Yankees, Mr. Mel Allen.
Hello there, everybody. Thank you all very much. And let's have a very warm round of applause to a great guy, a great announcer, for a great job, Frank Messer. Thank you, Frank. Thanks to all of you for coming. Thanks to the Yanks for bringing the past to the present. In a few minutes, we'll have our annual two-inning game. We used to call it the Old Timers game. It may still be, but we prefer to call it our Grand Reunion Day and a ball game that'll bring back many great moments for you. Hope you enjoy it. Thank you. Mudcat Grant, former Indian star, on the mound. Dick Hauser at shortstop. Phil Rizzuto leading off. A Yankee MVP in 1950 when he hit .324. Johnny Stevens back of the plate, veteran American League umpire, and he's not going to let Phil walk. Ball 3. Phil, you have to swing at everything now. He tried to go to right field. Now that's one way of doing it. Watch out for the bunt at third. Now coming up, Phil's one-time partner around second base and shortstop, Billy Martin. A lot of you may remember the 1953 World Series, and Billy Martin set a record at that time of 12 hits in a World Series. And his 12th hit scored Hank Bauer from second with a winning run that won the World Series for the Yankees as Allie Reynolds beat Clem Labine. There goes the scooter. A high pop. Tommy Davis. He was almost blocked out of the play by his catcher. And here now is Mickey Mantle. Once in a while, the switch hitter used to bat right-handed against the right-handed pitcher in the regular season. A high pop. Dick Hauser under it. Has it. 2 away. And now coming up, the man who in 1961 broke Babe Ruth's season record with 61 homers, Roger Maris. Phil Rizzuto speeds to second. Rizzuto on second, Maris on first, 2 away. And the batter, as you've already pointed out, the Moose, Moose Skowron. Phil Rizzuto rounds third and is hit it home with a tying run. He still hadn't touched home plate. Now, ladies and gentlemen, going to the mound is a man who has one record in baseball nobody has ever achieved nor surpassed, though it may happen someday. Johnny Vandermeer, the only man to pitch 2 consecutive no-hitters. He did it in 1938. The first one against the Braves and the second one over at Ebbets Field against the Dodgers on the occasion of the first night game in New York City's history. Hector Lopez at bat. Ball 1. Of course, in 1938, Johnny could take the stretch easier than he can today. And the side is retired at the end of 1 inning of play. Yankees. Sal Magley pitching to Dale Long. Dale Long's in the record book. 8 home runs in 8 consecutive games. Fair foul. I can't see. Fair ball. A ground rule single. Tommy Byrne going in to run for Dale Long. Andy Carey at bat. A lot of you will recall the day that Don Larson pitched his perfect game in the World Series in 1956. His opponent on the mound was Sal Magley, who gave up only 2 runs, one of them a home run by Mickey Mantle. A game that he normally would have won. Took a perfect game to beat him. Balk. No balk. Balk. What about it? No. Yes. It's a balk. Johnny Logan at shortstop fielded that ball, throwing over to Frank Torrey. 2 former Braves that played against the Yankees in a World Series. And now coming to bat with the great Robin Roberts, Hall of Famer on the mound. Old reliable, one of the greatest Yankees of all time, Tommy Henry. Robin Roberts won 286 games in his career. Pitched in the 1950 World Series against the Yankees. Member of the famous Whiz Kids Phillies who won the pennant. DiMaggio beat him with a home run in the 10th inning. You may remember the 1949 series, the opener, when Tommy Henry against the Dodgers and Don Newcomb in the last of the 9th inning hit one into the right field seats to win the ball game 1-0 for Allie Reynolds. Lee Walls made the put out at second.